Hey Shakers, and welcome to Worth Your Salt, the podcast that shakes up your marketing game in the health and wellness industry. Worth Your Salt is brought to you by Salt Marketing. Salt Marketing helps health and wellness practitioners build trust and authority to attract a steady stream of inbound wellness seekers. For more information, you can visit us online at saltmarketing.co. I'm Jennifer Oraquah, StoryBrand Certified Guide, Marketing Strategist with Salt Marketing, and your host for today's episode of Worth Your Salt. If you're tuning in today, chances are you're passionate about helping others lead healthier, more fulfilling lives. But let's be real for a minute. Despite all of your expertise and dedication, running a business can feel like an uphill battle. The unpredictable income, the constant hustle, and the lack of time for self-care can be downright exhausting. My guest today, Joanna Sapir, knows these struggles all too well. Joanna is a wellness business coach who specializes in helping innovative practitioners like you streamline their businesses, increase their income with less effort, and serve their clients more powerfully. With a solid background in education and years of experience running her own successful wellness business, Joanna created a proven step-by-step system that transforms overwhelmed practitioners into confident business owners. Through her program, the Profitable Practitioner Academy, and her innovative Client Champion formula, Joanna focuses on 3 pillars of marketing, sales, and leadership. She's all about helping her clients attract ideal prospects, create powerful sales processes, develop profitable programs, and build supportive teams, all while maintaining a healthy work-life balance. Joanna, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Oh, it's so great to be here, Jennifer, and love the intro.
So, Joanna, tell me a little bit about your background and how you got started in the wellness industry.
Well, I was one of these folks who had absolutely no experience in business. I had no aspirations of being an entrepreneur or business owner. I don't come from a family of people in business, but I found myself having opened a strength and conditioning gym after a 10-year career as a public high school history teacher. So just nothing to prepare me for that. But I was driven by this passion I had for providing this service. It had been something that had changed my life. I had gotten really into it, and I just happened to have moved to a different county where I couldn't find a place to do the kind of training I had been doing and that had been so important to me. So I decided, why don't I create this? It happened very organically, actually. And I ended up opening this business. It in many ways took off, and I found myself totally slammed and having no idea what I was doing. I knew how to work with my clients, but I didn't know how to do anything else. And it became a huge burden. So this thing that I had thought would be so wonderful was actually a big weight on me. And I realized I had a tipping point where I realized, I need to actually really invest my time and energy into learning how to run this business if I want to continue with it. Otherwise, it's just almost like becoming the worst job I've ever had. And so that's what I did. I set about really learning, like, okay, how do you create a sustainable and profitable business? How can I have a business that doesn't rely on me doing everything? And created that. Worked on that, put the systems in place, learned how to do it, and eventually had a business that, could run without me, and that I could take time away and it could continue to grow in my absence. And eventually I sold that in 2017. I sold that business and went full time into what I do now, which is helping wellness practitioners learn how to do the business side of things. Because the people I work with anyway, it's the same as I was. They're driven by a passion for their modality and a passion for helping people, but really have never learned any of the business stuff.
And I think that's very relatable. I think, in the health and wellness industry specifically, people do get into it because they have a passion for it. But, oftentimes, even though we have similar experiences, we have a unique set of challenges or experiences that led you, that I want to know what yours were, that led you to develop this program and this system and process that you could teach others.
Well, as far as challenges go, my greatest challenge was the fact that I was the sole breadwinner of a family. I was a single mom of 2 young kids. So, that tipping point I mentioned when I realized I need to really learn how to do this business stuff was, I was paying for childcare the whole time that I was at work. That was, not just the money, but the time away from my kids. There was a lot of pressure there. And in many ways, I think that really lit a fire under my butt faster than maybe other folks have. There wasn't a huge runway and buffer for me. It was, I got to figure this out. And as far as the unique kind of skills and talents, I happen to be, and this was really who I was as a teacher too, I am really good at taking large concepts and large amounts of information and breaking them down for people into systems and patterns so that they understand them and then can implement them. So it was really actually natural once I learned how to think of my business as a set of systems. It was really natural for me to actually then create, like, what are the processes I want in place? How is this going to run? How is this going to go smoothly? And then that carries over into what I do now. I really think that's my strength. I think that's why the people that work with me like to work with me, is because I take ideas that they oftentimes will say, I've heard this before, but the way you say it, it just, I get it now. And so it's really simplifying big ideas and concepts for folks.
I love that. And I think your history as a teacher is probably what's made this so successful. But what inspired you to specifically create the Profitable Practitioner Academy?
You begin by working with people one-on-one. That's generally how it works. And so for the first several years of this business, that's what I did. And just as I said, I'm, a patterns and systems thinker, I've started to see, okay, everybody's got these issues. Everybody's got these issues, no matter what, no matter how advanced their businesses are, no matter where their mindsets are, there are these certain pieces that really need to be in place. So I started to build that into a curriculum so that it could be the work I was doing could be more programmatized. And then it was a happy accident that I had not envisioned working with people in groups or in community, which is surprising to say now, because in fitness, like, we see the power of community so often. So I had that in my first business, but in this one, the happy accident was that I happened to have a handful of clients who were all working on the same thing at the same time. These were one-on-one clients. And so I said, let's put us together. I'm going to put this session together, and it's for all of you, and you'll all get to meet each other. And I taught this piece, and it was like fireworks in terms of their bouncing understanding and concepts and ideas off each other and being able to share what they were going through with this content. And that's when I realized, oh, this is actually great to put people together for this. Yeah. So that was the seed planted for the inception of this program.
I want to know a little bit about the core philosophies that kind of underpin your approach to business development, specifically for wellness practitioners. What kind of core philosophies do you build your program around?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the big overarching concept is one for practitioners, because my people, the people I work with, the people too, they believe so passionately about helping folks that their whole identity is pretty much solely as a practitioner. That is wonderful when it comes to client services and client results. And we need that. Yet they haven't stepped into the identity of being the leader of their business. And so one of the things I talk about is, like, who's leading your business? Because if you're just a practitioner 30, 40 hours a week, there's no one leading it. Especially, this is solo practitioners. I work with a significant number of solo practitioners. And so that's a big overarching concept, is you need to step into leadership of your business. And without you in a leadership position, no one is leading it, or you're bending over backwards, but based on demands and needs that you've never even consciously decided to, right? You're just going day by day. Another piece is something I call the freelancer mindset, or shifting out of a freelancer mindset and more. And the freelancer mindset is this idea, again, you're going to be familiar with this. Everyone listening will be. The standard in wellness practices, whether it's bodywork, acupuncture, coaching, therapy, the standard is we sell sessions. That's just kind of what is expected in the industry. And I call that the freelancer mindset, the idea of just get them to book a session. Somebody calls up and I'm just here, just give them the session, try to make them happy, hope they rebook. And the freelancer mindset is really, it's lacking what I'm talking about, that leadership piece, and really looking at, well, what is it that I really want to be helping people do? Who are my ideal clients? One of the most basic things, who is it that I'm meant to work with? Who do I love working with and that sees the best results from my services? And what are the results they want? And what do I believe they really need to get those results? And so I teach practitioners how to create programs or treatment plans instead of selling sessions. And those programs or treatment plans are based on getting your ideal clients the real results that they're after. So that's the big shift out of the freelancer mindset and really into leadership. So now it's not just leadership of your business, it's also leadership of your clients. You're not just kind of saying, okay, here's an hour of my time, we'll do what we can, but you're saying, here's what's actually needed. I've assessed your situation. I understand your goals. Here's what I see it's going to take to get there, and taking people on that journey to get there. So those are two biggies. There's plenty more, but I'll stop there.
So I'm curious about how your own journey, where you stumbled, where it took you more time than you expected. How did your own journey influence the structure and the content of what you're teaching now?
Interesting question. My little wake up call on how selling sessions doesn't work was, and even I should know this story it was a pack of sessions. So what I want to note that what I'm talking about when I say programs or treatment plans is not simply a pack of sessions, because that's still part of the standard industry thing where somebody will sell a pack of 10 sessions at a discount or something, which really has nothing to do with the client services. It's done as like this, I just get the cash up front and you're committing up front, but it doesn't say anything about like how frequently they come in or what is that journey we're taking together. It still just happens to be a pack of sessions. So that was a standard that I followed when I first opened my gym and primarily was doing group fitness. But occasionally I'd have folks come in for personal training. And I had this personal training client who came in and, I sold him the standard, the 10 pack of sessions. And I just remember he kept flaking on the times that we were suggesting that he would come in. He kind of was in and out of town a bit. And it was like we weren't seeing progress. And by the end of the 10 sessions, I almost felt like I couldn't even suggest that he buy 10 more because we had pretty much gotten nowhere. And I could easily blame him and say, look, this guy wasn't committed. He didn't come in as frequently as he should have. But the fact is, I hadn't provided that guidance. I hadn't laid out like, here are your goals and this is what it's going to take to get there. Whether that's the frequency that he comes in, right? And how long that would take. And then even what he needed to do outside the gym that I should have been guiding him on. And so that was the beginning of me going like, oh, this actually needs an actual programmatic approach. If I wanted to get him results, that's on me. That's my responsibility to design that.
All right, Joanna, I am intrigued. I have so many more questions, but I have to take a quick sponsorship break right now. When we come back, I want to get into the specifics of your program. Stay right there. Hey, Salt Nation, are you ready to grow your health and wellness business, but you're not sure where to start? I've got the perfect solution for you. Introducing our free custom marketing plan designed just for health and wellness practitioners like you. Salt Marketing has partnered with StoryBrand to bring you a tailored approach that simplifies your marketing and helps you generate more revenue. Here's how it works. Visit us at saltmarketing.co to take our quick 10-minute assessment. You'll receive your free customized marketing analysis that helps you focus your time and energy exactly where you need for the greatest success. Follow your plan and watch as your business grows and thrives. It's that simple. We believe in the power of a clear story and effective marketing strategy, and we want to share that with you. Don't miss out on this opportunity to get the answers you need to take your business to the next level. Head on over to saltmarketing.co and take your free assessment today. Let's build your success story together. I'm back here on the Worth Your Salt podcast with Joanna Sapir. Joanna is a wellness business coach who helps practitioners streamline their businesses, increase their income, and serve their clients more effectively. And we're talking about how you can transform what might seem like an overwhelming wellness practice into a thriving, profitable business. So, Joanna, give me a little peek behind the curtain of the Profitable Practitioner Academy. What steps do you include in the program to help us achieve steady, predictable income and avoid that feast or famine roller coaster?
I would call it like the basic foundations that every practitioner needs. So I will note, it's not everything. It doesn't take people through scaling and growing a team, which we do have an ongoing program for that. This is what every practitioner should have in place, whether they're a solo practitioner, whether they have a team, no matter what. And so there are some things that are going to sound really familiar to anybody who's done any business development, like identifying who your ideal client is, what's your niche and who's your target market. But some of the highlights of, I just mentioned, I teach people how to design programs and treatment plans. So that's extremely powerful. And that's a piece of what we do. We need to know who our ideal clients are before doing that, of course. But one of the pieces that comes out of that ends up being super powerful for folks is that we create a visual framework for the work they do. And this is where, just like you asked me, what are your special skills? This is where we get to, where they get to bring in all the parts of them that they want to be bringing to clients. So many people come to me having, started out in one modality. But over the years, because wellness practitioners in general are people who like to keep learning and are passionate about that, many times people will gather more certifications and more studies and start to learn even new modalities. So they may be known as an acupuncturist, and yet now they're doing different sides of it or different elements of it, or bringing in energy work, or all different pieces people bring in. And so when we create their visual frameworks, it's this opportunity for them to integrate it all. And the visual framework, on the one hand, can simply be used as like this incredible confidence builder, because it is, it's powerful and it really expresses your unique genius. And particularly, it's a client-facing piece that really shows people what kind of results they can get. So it's powerful in that way. But it also becomes the basis for, all the work that you do, Jennifer. It's like, it becomes the basis for your elevator pitch, for your, your unique selling proposition, for the headline on your website, for, my favorite use of it is you simply teach a workshop with your framework, and we just see people getting leads and clients over and over and over just from teaching their framework. So that's a part of it that I just love working on with people. Yeah. And then a core piece, just like one of the most important missing pieces of so many practitioners' business is a sales process. And I will ask practitioners who first come to me, I'll ask them, so how does somebody become a client? And there's usually some kind of fumbling explanation that goes something like, well, they contact me and then I talk to them for a few minutes and then they book a session. And I go, well, let's break that down more. Like, how do they contact you, right? Are we talking about, do they come through the website, or they call on the phone, or do they email you? And it's like, oh, all of those things. Sometimes they text me because somebody's referred them. So they've got these people coming in from all these different directions, and nothing is actually a repeatable, predictable process for turning their leads into clients. It's just spending a lot of time winging it. Even when they say like, well, I talk with them for 5 minutes first, I say, what do you ask them? And it's just still winging it. It's still just kind of in the moment, having a casual conversation. So I teach a really, really clear step-by-step process that, again, is repeatable and that predictably turns leads into clients, as in you can see your numbers after any bit of data, and you can see based on that exactly how many leads you need to fill your roster as you want. And so, it's a consultative sales process. So I believe wholeheartedly and love teaching practitioners how to do a really meaningful consultation that is also an assessment process. So they are talking to somebody, really getting to know them, and doing an assessment so that they're making that, they're creating that program or treatment plan, enrolling them in that program or treatment plan, and it's truly aligned. It is exactly what that person needs, and you're laying that out for them, and it becomes kind of a no-brainer for them to say, all right, this sounds amazing. Yes, I want to do it.
So is that sort of the framework for your client champion formula, or which I know you've trademarked, or is there more to it than that? How does that contribute to the overall success of your students?
Yeah, the client champion formula, I just actually named pieces of it, which the client champion formula is my visual framework. So I'm getting meta here and modeling exactly what I was talking about with the visual framework. Yeah. So the core pillars of the client champion formula are knowing who the right people for you are, the clients you love to work with and that see the best results from your services. The second pillar is the right program or treatment plan. So really designing these journeys that really get people results. And the third pillar is a repeatable and predictable sales process. That's it. And then each of those pieces, of course, has all kinds of details to it, but that's the core of it. Yeah.
So what about retention and getting clients to agree to longer term solutions?
So what most of my people do, so I work with such a wide variety of practitioners, as I imagine you do too. Mm-hmm. I have like in-person brick and mortar folks, mm-hmm. like, the acupuncturists, the body workers, movement specialists, et cetera. And then I also have, online, coaches. I have parenting coaches, mm-hmm. art journaling coaches, all different kinds of things. So their program design, I'm not somebody who templates that. I'm leading them through a process where they're determining, based on who their ideal client is, they're determining what is the journey that I'm going to take them on. And what I usually call that the front end program. So it's what are they coming with right now? And what are those results they want right now? And what's it going to take to get them there? And so the people that work with me, there's a really wide variety of how long their front end programs take. For the people who, let's say, especially those in-person, like body worker, acupuncturist, that kind of thing, those folks generally get people coming to them with an actual like injury or pain or health issue, right? Mm-hmm. That's what drives them to be seen. So the front end programs that those practitioners generally create is based on resolving that issue, but that's not like ongoing health stuff. So what happens is that after somebody has finished the front end program, I ask my clients, the practitioners, well, what do you think they need next? Mm-hmm. And so they develop what I just call it the back end program. And so, those people in the bodywork fields will often call it a maintenance program of some sort. And so I see all different versions of that. So people that work with me, that's what they generally end up with, a front end program and a back end program. And for some people, the back end program can go on forever. Mm-hmm. It can be year after year, depending on who their clients are. Mm-hmm. So at minimum in the front end program, I'd say the shortest front end program I think just from memory that I think that a person has developed has been 12 weeks or so. Mm. There might have been something a little less, maybe 8 to 10. But that's the minimum that somebody is initially working with you, and you're getting to do really deep work with them. Mm-hmm. And then they may potentially go on for a whole nother year or even multiple years.
And I want to go back to something that you said earlier about building a really good support team, building your team. And I know you said you were a systems and processes person. So I'm wondering what kind of systems or processes you teach to help practitioners build a really good team.
I do think that running a team, leading a team, I see it as one of the most challenging pieces of entrepreneurship mm-hmm. for folks. Mm-hmm. So because I'm usually working with people who are hiring for the first time, this is not all. I'd say maybe 15 to 20% of people who come to work with me already own practices with a staff. But for the most part, the other people are solo practitioners. And the longer they stay with me, the more likely they are to grow and scale and end up making their first hires, mm-hmm. and leading a team. And I would say the number one thing I see is that people think that when they bring on a team member, whether that's, an administrative assistant is often a first hire, and sometimes it's another practitioner underneath mm-hmm. them. But what they often do is think that they are hiring somebody to do a bunch of tasks. On the one hand, that's normal. And on the other hand, it's often not very effective. And so systems wide, what I teach people to do is start to look at what are the results you want? What are the outcomes you're looking for in any given department of your business? And so what department is this person being hired for? There can be multiple, but it's just really understanding that. What is their role? Is it in fulfillment, like direct client services? Is it in operations and admin? Is it in marketing? Where are they in your business? And what are the outcomes you're expecting in that area of business and then from this person? And so instead instead of giving them tasks, we're giving them outcomes. And instead of hiring somebody to do tasks, we're hiring somebody that can deliver on the outcomes. Instead of evaluating somebody on whether or not they've done the tasks, we're evaluating them based on whether the outcomes have been reached. Mm-hmm. So that would be a simple way to say that. Mm-hmm. And that is a shift in thinking, for folks.
So I'm curious about what you've seen where someone comes to you and you're like, oh, honey, we can fix that. Like, what's the biggest mistake that wellness practitioners make in their businesses? I'm sure you've seen much of this, but where you're like, no, this is the way. How do you handle that?
I see it every day. I mean, it's really simple, and it goes just way back to the beginning and of some of the earlier stuff I've said. So I'm going to say it again, but I want to note something that I get people coming to me who have been in business for 20 years and still those basic foundations are not in place. So like the number one thing I see is practitioners who are booked and busy and slammed, and their whole business is based on booking as many sessions as they can. And it is that freelancer mindset of, I got to take somebody wants to come and buy a session. Of course, I'm going to book them. And so they'll book times that they don't even have. Right. Yeah. They just don't even have their calendars laid out for like, these are client facing times and these are not. There's no boundaries in place. They'll ask people when are you available, and just squeeze people in and end up with no time for actually running the business, for envisioning where they want their business. They're never saying no to clients, no matter what, because it's just the classic trade time for dollars. It's just, yes, get them in. And that's really not a business. Yep. As you know, that's really not the power of owning a business and being an entrepreneur. That is really just a job. And so I'd say the most painful thing when people come to me and I'm like, oh my goodness, I want to help you, is that total busyness factor. Like, I don't have time even. I want to spend time with my kids. I don't have time for them. I want to do be paying attention to my own fitness, and I have no time for it. I love running, biking, whatever it is, and I never have time for it. I have these wonderful passion projects I want to pursue, and I don't have time for it. And it's like, you totally can have the time for all that. And that is something you deserve as the leader of your business. And it really is about setting up the systems and structures so that you're making as much money as you need and you want, and you have time for all the things that you want to do.
It's a great perspective. All right, it's time for another quick break. We'll be right back after this. Hey, Salt Nation, you're listening to the Worth Your Salt podcast. I'm Jennifer Orqua, and today I'm talking with Joanna Sapir, wellness business coach and creator of the Profitable Practitioner Academy. We'd love to hear your thoughts on how you're working to gain control and thrive in your business. So be sure to join Salt Marketing over on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook and tell us about your challenges and how you're overcoming them. So, Joanna, can you share a success story from a past student who transformed their business using your program?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's just a matter of picking which one. So this is a woman who was exactly just that scenario I was just describing, like jam-packed schedule with client sessions, and was really serving like all different kinds of people in all different kinds of ways. Her skill set is broad. She is a somatic practitioner, skilled in movement therapy and mental health therapy. And was still, I'd say something really important here, and this often happens with the people who are just booked and busy and slammed, is still wasn't making a great living, still wasn't financially stable and making as much as she wanted to. She decided to really focus her work on people with disordered relationships with food and eating. And, and as I said, she's a somatic practitioner. So she's really doing nervous system regulation. So which is slightly different. Like, it's not about diet. It's not about exercise. It's really about nervous system regulation for her. And she had that journey herself as well. So she has now worked with me for years, but in the beginning, it was just going through those basic foundation pieces I teach, like who are your ideal clients? What is the journey? She designed a 6-month program for them that she runs in small group cohorts. And over time, that gets smoother and smoother. She's filling those. So she learns how to do better marketing. And then she created a back-end program. And so her back-end program is like the continuity maintenance piece. And so what happens is she runs her front-end program in these small groups. She runs multiple groups per year. And then that back-end program is where everybody goes, and it's like, it's just this continued touch point of community for them to keep going with these practices that have transformed their lives. And then meanwhile, she had been a solo practitioner for years before she came to me. And she now has a full team. She has a team of other practitioners. She does none of the one-on-one work anymore because her program actually includes one-on-one work in addition to the cohorts. And she's really like leading her business and leading her team. She has so much more space in her calendar and she's quadrupled her income. So I love that. I have multiple stories like that. And I think it's important to note that she's a case where I can really talk about the long-term journey and the long-term stretch because, none of this stuff, I know we all want to hear these stories about how instant it is. And I do, it is great. Like I have clients who, create their program and start selling it and are suddenly making way more money. Like that I get from people early on, but really the like sustainable, profitable business that you can take weeks away from and it's still going, that takes more time,
For sure. Well, and even thinking long-term, when people start out with you, what kind of challenges do they face? Is it about mindset or, what do they have to overcome in order to get really started with you?
Yeah, I'd say mindset is huge. The data I have is that 80% of the people who work with me have never invested in business development or business guidance before. So just deciding to work with me is a huge like hurdle that they've gotten over. That's already like a leap of faith for them. That's already a mindset piece. And then absolutely once they're in, I mean, it's just a really normal thing. I always say like business growth is actually personal growth work. We have to like expand our capacity. We get to the edge of our comfort zone or a little bit out of it sometimes, outside of it, and people may contract and feel resistance or fear. And that's where I really think a community aspect in a program like this is so important because you get to be working with people who have already been there and been through that, so they're further ahead or they've gone through the same challenges. Definitely the mindset piece is huge in just entrepreneurship.
So finally, where can all of our creative and innovative health and wellness practitioners who are listening in go to find out more about you and your programs, the Profitable Practitioner Academy, and of course, all the other resources that you offer?
You can find me at my website, which is joannasapir.com, Joanna, and my last name is S like Sam, AP like Paul, IR. I also have a podcast. That's actually how I found you and you found me, Jennifer. And it's called The Business Revolution for Practitioners. And my podcast is not super consistent like yours is. Instead, I find that people binge it. So it's the kind of thing like, you can binge several episodes at once and get a lot of juicy goodness. Those are the two places to go. Yeah.
Of course, links to Joanna's LinkedIn profile, as well as all the ways that you can connect with her, will be available on our website at saltmarketing.co. And Joanna, I know you have a special gift for the Worth Your Salt audience, right?
I do. Yeah. You asked me about the Client Champion Formula and I mentioned it and the 3 pillars. So I have a free masterclass where I teach that whole framework and it's super enlightening. I'll say that. People who watch this masterclass, do it with me live or see the recording, really learn a lot about their businesses. There's a self-assessment in there where you can identify like your strengths and weaknesses in your business in terms of these foundations. So you can find that you'll have the link, but it's joannasapir.com/salt.
Okay. Very nice. Well, be sure to link that up from the episode page at saltmarketing.co/worthyoursalt. But right now it's time for our lightning round questions. Those are a few quick questions that I like to ask of every guest. Joanna, are you ready?
I hope so.
All right. First question is, what's something about you that often surprises people?
I think I'm really quite multi-passionate. So people who know me in one realm are surprised at other realms. But like one of those realms is that I play classical piano.
Oh, very nice. All right. What's your favorite thing about the work that you do?
It's just like seeing people step into who they're really meant to be in the world.
Oh,
I mean, that's just everything.
Yeah, for sure. All right. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Yeah, this was a business attorney when I was going through a legal situation with a landlord in my previous business. And he said, it seems so simple, but I hold on to it ever since. He said, you hope for the best and you plan for the worst. And really, it's been great advice.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Last question. Who is inspiring you right now? What podcast you're listening to, or what's the best book that you've read recently?
Yeah. I'm actually inspired right now by somebody who I'm working with who probably isn't very well known. Her name's Kirsten Roldan, and she's just kind of exactly what I need right now.
Very nice. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's episode of Worth Your Salt, Joanna.
Thank you, Jennifer.
I also want to thank you, Salt Nation. If you have a great success story, I'd love to talk with you and share your story. So tell us about why you're worth your salt by emailing us at grow@saltmarketing.co. Of course, be sure to subscribe to Worth Your Salt so you never miss an episode. Finally, leave us a review or give the show a handful of stars wherever you get your content. That's all for this episode of Worth Your Salt. Be sure to join me again next time. In the meantime, let's get out there and shake things up.
Good stuff.